Okay, people. Mr. Trump is back on Air Force One. He's coming back to America. Well, technically he was already still in America. But, you know, do we really count Alaska as a state? Almost agreement at gmail.com. Yes, they have 2 senators. Of course, their state. Go to Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, where I got some, that's where we do some of our socials. Go to your favorite podcast writer on all of those things. Like, Fred, share, follow, text to your friends, email me stupid things at almostagreement at gmail.com. Do that kind of stuff. But tell the word, tell some people about it. I'm pretty sure more people listen to this podcast than bother voting in city elections here in Knoxville. And, maybe if all the listeners started voting, we'd get some better politicians. I don't know. The city graces are kind of weird. I don't know. Anyway, almost agreement, everybody. Here we go. We're going to get the show started once this thing finishes and I stop rambling. How much do you think it costs for one of these little excursions? Millions. There's a couple of $20 million jets sitting on the runway next to the... I don't know. How much do you think Air Force One costs? I mean, the plane itself is probably $100 million.
At least, yeah.
I'm so excited. I couldn't wait for the intro. So, what's up, buddy? Hey.
Hey.
How you do?
Hobby.
What's new with you?
Not much.
Okay, so we got the technicalities out of the way. Sam's in the room. Like I said, he's kind of in the background. We're NBC News or something like that, talking about the Trump-Putin meeting today, 3 hours of it. I don't know what to... I don't know. You got any thoughts? Anything you've heard on this since it's gone down today?
I hadn't heard anything.
Yeah, there was some of the rhetoric rolling into it of, Zelensky says it's, who cares what you two talk about if I'm not involved? Fair enough. Putin says he wants to keep some land. Trump says there's going to be some land swapping.
I did see that. Yeah.
I'd really like to show you what some of the deets of what actually happened were, but we'll get to that when we get to that, when they start reporting that out.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many people were actually in the room. I think at one point it was just them and interpreters. That's
got to be tough.
Which is how I remember it getting reported before in its first term, where apparently they were in a room together alone or something. And everybody was like, nobody's ever done that with another world leader. You've always got one of your secretaries of state or some other kind of high level official
hanging out. Right. I mean, it's fair enough that both teams get a witness. That seems like a reasonable direction to go in, but I don't know. Whatever. The one thing that the one thing that I had a little issue with as far as this was announced and people were talking about, what they think they're going to talk about and stuff like that is, I don't like Trump like the rest of us do or whatever. We can talk about all that all the live long day, but I hope this is a successful meeting. Now, the definition of the definition of success, I guess, could fluctuate on what you mean by success and what I mean by success. But whichever outcome has less dead people, I'm pretty if that's the direction the meeting went in, I think that's a win.
It's plus.
It can't get much worse for Ukrainians and a lot of Russians.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really hard hard stop for a straight ceasefire into the war.
Well, I mean, to me, the and I know where you're going to go with this, and it's a fair statement. Don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, if Zelensky won't agree to anything except for a full restoration of his borders, I'm afraid he's SOL.
Right.
I don't think that's happening. He can be upset about it all he wants to, but at the end of the day, it's not really up to him. Apparently, they put some referendum in over the last year or so that any truce agreement has to be a ballot initiative in Ukraine. There's some little tidbit on that. I don't remember exactly the terminology, but that he can't agree to a ceasefire. He can't do it as the commander-in-chief of Ukraine.
It has to go through the parliament or something.
No, it has to go through a election.
Huh.
The people have to vote.
Sounds kind of odd.
Right. Which, my understanding of it is, and again, I understand it from his perspective. His perspective is I get all my country back or I don't say okay to anything.
Right.
And it's okay, buddy, well, then you go take your country back and we'll see you later. Why is that our problem? That's my take. I know. That's my heartless.
Yeah.
I'm a bastard. Because international law doesn't really apply to anything. There's no...
I mean, they're not quite to a war of attrition, but it's not too far off.
But I mean, it is. That's that has always been the Russian war model.
True.
It's we got more stuff and more bodies than you do, and we can just keep throwing stuff and bodies at you until you run out of stuff and bodies.
Right.
That's how we win, and that's how we've won everything we've ever fought. That's why we beat the Nazis. That's why we beat Napoleon. That's why we beat... I don't think they beat Napoleon. Did Napoleon go into Russia? He didn't go into Russia.
Yeah.
Did he? Okay, see? That's why they beat everybody. The Rus, they're bad people. Not really. There's just a whole lot of them, and they don't have a lot to live for. Because I mean, that's one thing. Like, did you see that story that the Ukraine has raised their maximum age to enter their armed forces to 60?
No.
So if you're like, me and you could go and enlist right now if we were Ukrainian citizens and they would take us. And apparently we might get a uniform, probably won't get a gun, and they'll send us out to the front lines.
I don't think it's quite that bad, but I'll take your word for it.
I mean, that's been reported upon that has happened. There was a guy that was like 55 who signed up, and then he deserted to Poland or something like that.
But he didn't have a uniform and didn't have a gun?
Right. He spent like a week at some camp, and then they put him out on the front lines with nothing. And it was like, basically, go collect what you can off the battlefield.
It's definitely possible.
Yeah, I'd be going to Poland too. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, that's enough of our international news. Local stories: the heat on the assessor and the the comptroller's heat. What's the other one? We talked about it last week. I just blanked out on it.
Property assessor and
the comptroller's report came out on the property assessor and the register of deeds. Is that the two?
Yeah, I think that's.
And so what you were referencing was the one of the guys in Big's office was the one that he's got criminal charges brought against him. And that was the one where it was the insider trading one that you called it insider trading, which basically there were some properties that Knox County was in the process of taking away from the private citizen who owned it because of delinquent taxes. And before it went through the totality of the process, his business partner was buying these properties, bought two properties that are like $4,000 a piece, $3,700 to $4,000 each property.
Yeah, I think that's what I said. Yeah.
And then turn around and sold them for $60,000 each, give or take. His total profits or maybe combined for $65,000. His total profits on the thing were like $100,000.
Yeah.
For these two little sales. And that was that guy's thing. And
but
so,
I guess there's like an auction, some kind of site or whatever
right.
that those lists are on, but they somehow got kind of like early access to it.
Right. He just basically didn't. He got it. He didn't. He put it like when it was supposed to go onto that list. It just never made it onto that list because that was his job to put it on that list. Ah. But then it got sold because it was his job to take it off that list because it got sold. And so he just went ahead and did that because it did get sold. And like it was one of those, like the guy never even actually went through the whole expensive process of getting title and getting all the paperwork to say that he owned the property because he sold it under contract. So he's under contract with Knox County to purchase the piece of land, and he sold that contract to another person for 1,700% profit or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's what the story was that I read.
Yeah, that's what they call wholesale property wholesaling. That's what that's called. I learned that this week.
You kind of sell under the contract, like you were saying,
right? You're selling
before you have deed in hands. Whatnot.
Exactly. You're selling the contract for the I'm having issues. I don't know what I'm hearing here. I'm hearing stuff.
It sounds really hollow.
Yeah.
Are both mics on, maybe?
Yeah, well, you're right. Yes. But I usually leave them both on because I'm lazy. Is that better? No.
No, I don't hear you.
You don't hear me?
Yeah.
How about now?
Talk again?
How about now?
Yeah, okay.
But I'm hearing me and yours more than normal. Kid, volume check. I love you. Anyway, sorry. Sound shit. It does sound terrible. What is going on here? Back it up.
I think you have my mic up really loud.
Yeah, because you're talking really quiet. Okay, how about that? I can still hear a little bit of... Yeah, that's exactly what I hear. Anyway, so live sound check, everybody. You're welcome. Congratulations. You got yours.
You touch buttons you weren't supposed to touch.
Yeah, I know. I need to do like this. I need to do a full audit of this room. I need to just break everything down and reset everything up. Everything's just gotten tweaked to the point of it's easier to start over than it is to try to backtrack my way into correct settings. So yeah. Anyway, the comptroller's report came out. There's a bunch of stuff. Like I mean, it was Briggs doing the same thing. Apparently, Briggs's one of the things that Briggs's office was doing, not just Briggs but his people were doing, is they would take their decals off their trucks when they were going to run errands that were not official county errands, which is basically acknowledging that you were using it for personal use and not using it for county use.
Right.
And like they were like video evidence of them doing that, and they had some video evidence of like Briggs leaving in his county truck instead of his personal car on like the trip to Nashville, and then he paid $700 for a room, $500 for a room, and then he may or may not have. He didn't report mileage, but there was something weird about that. There was a couple of weirdisms about that, and so like it's interesting. Like it's. There's a lot of stuff that he was doing similar to Ballard. The Ballard got the grand jury to come back with an indictment, but they didn't come back on Biggs. And it's very interesting. I mean, it's certainly murdered Biggs' re-election campaign. He's still trying to run to keep that seat. I don't see it happening. But hey, there's another one. Let's do it, people. almostinagreement@gmail.com. Send me a time and place, and I will come and sign your recall petitions, and then I will host a recall petition signing event. Let's do it.
But I think you can actually. I think the prosecutor's office can like call up another grand jury and try to re-indict. I don't think there's like double jeopardy issue on that.
Yeah, because there was never an indictment brought.
Right.
You're not being charged with the same crime twice because you weren't charged with that crime the first time. But that would have to be anyway. The comptrollers actually put the report out that had all these details. It was all conjecture 2 weeks ago when we were talking about it. And last week when we were talking about it, it was all like, well, we heard this and we heard that, and there's been reporting on this and this and the other, but now it's actually from the comptroller's report of what they found when they started looking into it. Because apparently a lot of it was like, or a number of the issues, their proof on a number of the issues with the staffing was them leaving without their decals on in their county vehicles. The county vehicles being gone, like leaving at 4 p.m. and not coming back until 10 a.m. the next day or over the weekend. Mm-hmm. So it's like, well, why did the county vehicle leave for the weekend? It wasn't there wasn't a seminar in Nashville that they were all going to.
Right.
You're allowed to take it if you wanted to, but you can't do that.
It's not for personal use.
But I mean, and so it like again, almostinagreement@gmail.com. Hit me up. I will host an event. Let's start a recall. Let's get it done. I mean, we're going to be electing we'll be electing the replacement for both of these guys in the next cycle anyway. But let's just get them kicked out and see who Jacobs appoints as their interim until the end of next year, because they're both on the 26th cycle.
But to recall, they'd have to have a special election.
Right, but they can't. There's no time for a special election because they won't. It has to be normal
on cycle.
August. It doesn't have to be on cycle. It could be. It's allowed to be in the odd year, but the city elections will already have passed. I don't think they could do. I think it'd be August of 26 when the actual election is taking place anyway. Would be the next time they could possibly get a special election done. So it'd have to run on interim, which, couldn't be any worse. But apparently, the property assessor's office and the register of deeds office has like a whole laundry list of indictments for prior property assessors and prior registers of deeds and or their office members and stuff like that. Apparently, it is the most common local office for corruption and fraud getting caught, and it's never anything big.
Wasn't one of the guys running one of the former of one of those positions? He's like, hey, I want to get back and doing that stuff again.
Yeah, he's currently the I don't know. Yes, he is coming to run for a property assessor. Maybe that makes a match. Dude. Okay, but anyway. Yeah, so anyway, he as soon as the News Sentinel broke the story, he was like, I'm gonna run for that seat again. He sat out his required term, but he doesn't have an indictment hanging over his head, so he should be okay.
I'm curious if he ever had any allegations.
But really, but that's right. But this crazy thing is that's like all the corruption stuff that happens on the local level is like penny stuff. Like it's the cheap stuff. It's still not. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying we shouldn't be upset that they're doing it. But it's like if you're going to do it, go big, people. Like what are we talking about? Like what did Ballard pay back? Like $7,000 for his mileage that he was getting paid for, even though he was using the county vehicle and it didn't apply.
Nah, I can't remember the actual amount.
Right, but it wasn't a ton of money. Like, it wasn't like 5 figures.
Right.
It was like I wanted in my brain's saying $3,500 to $7,000, somewhere in that range, which is still a lot of money in a year for mileage.
Yeah.
In an office job, like for the assessor, it makes sense because they like by job they're supposed to be out assessing properties. Register of Deeds is supposed to be sitting in the city county building, moving paperwork around.
Right.
Anywho, almost an agreement at gmail.com. Email me, and I will come meet you and sign your petition. Get a petition going, people. Let's do it. Let's recall both these schmucks. But the big news to me this week is all this stuff going on in East Knoxville. Like the city is moving hard, basically to reconfigure Chillhowee Park in that area into a new image.
Yeah, I thought I saw some kind of property sale or.
Right, so they call it the Midway. It's the part of Chillhowee Park that's on the south side of Magnolia, where you go through the tunnel. You know what I'm talking about?
Vaguely familiar.
Okay,
it's been a while. Since
it's like maybe 10%. Like the main Chillhowee Park being the big parking lot where the fountain and the lake is,
right?
And that's where they always bring the fair in. And then there's the actual like old school fairgrounds that has like the show ring for horses and cattle and stuff like that and sheep. Mm-hmm. That's up there. That's the entrance to the zoo. And then they have the Jacobs building that's up there on top of the hill. And they'll do expositions in there as part of it. And then all the games and stuff. And then there's a tunnel that goes underneath that's big enough for a car, but it's not a road tunnel per se. But it goes underneath Magnolia. And on the other side, there's more parking. And then there's some grassy flatlands. And there's some picnic stuff, like some picnic tables and covered areas and stuff like that. But it's a pretty blank space and anyway, it's quote underutilized by city standards. Well, it's also fenced in, so it's only able to be utilized with somebody who's putting on a special event in the space.
Okay.
So it's not a park in the sense that you could just go hang out and have a picnic there. You couldn't go to Pizza Palace and take your pizza over and sit down there and eat it because it's fenced in. Mm. It's not a public park in that sense. And so I guess the first takeaway of this is Chillhowee Park is not a park in the terms of we think of as a park. Chillhowee Park is a city-owned event venue. So anyway, the Midway is the north side. They're going to sell that to Emerald Youth Foundation. Emerald Youth is going to build a big sports complex there, indoor, outdoor facilities, stuff like that, community events, blah, 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 blah. Still private, but it does do – it has a number of like outreach events and it does have stuff that's more or less public use or very cheap to use facilities and stuff like that, or they have programs and stuff that are very cheap or free to use for the public as part of it. But then the Muse is moving into the Jacobs building. And Mr. Clayton from Clayton Homes, instead of the $160 million he was going to spend on rebuilding the old police department into a science museum, he's going to put $25 million of that into the new Muse project. So then the city's taken back. I think the city is going to take back the old public safety complex and figure out what they're going to do with it moving forward.
Keep that property.
Yeah. So I don't know. Amelia's pissed off about it. She doesn't feel like Emerald Youth. Like, she's really mad about the Muse one because this one seemed to come out of nowhere. There wasn't a lot of public meeting lead up to this one. Emerald Youth did do a bunch of stuff. They apparently had like 16 public meetings where they announced it in a bunch of different ways and said, hey, come out. They engaged the Reverend John, I think it's John Middlebrook. Reverend Middlebrook, I don't remember his first name, who went out and reached out to, like, I can't remember, he's in some association of churches or something like that. So he reached out to a lot of the churches in the neighborhoods to come out and be a part of it. And so they did hold some public engagement meetings, but apparently only Gwen McKenzie of the city councilors was officially invited. None of the at-larges were invited. None of the other city councilors were invited. Just Gwen McKenzie because it's in her district. Okay. But none of the at-larges, Amelia Parker being one of them, were invited. And Amelia was very upset that since she wasn't invited, she didn't go. Or she feels like she wasn't allowed to go. I'm not sure. I'm curious if she showed up at one of them, even though she wasn't invited, what would happen?
I don't think they would turn her away.
I mean, it was a public meeting. Most of them were scheduled as neighborhood public meetings. If you live around here, if you want to know what's going on, if you want to put some input on the plan we're working on, right, come talk to us. Now, the Emerald Youth one, that's its own thing. Like, I could see some of the complaints because a lot of, like, it's a Emerald Youth is a nonprofit, I think, but it's a private use. It'll be a big private use facility that they will open to the public in certain times, and they'll do certain things at certain times. But it's like,
Yeah.
is the not Lonsdale. What's the neighborhood? There's like 3 neighborhoods that they go around there. Anyway, like those neighborhood like youth athletics, they don't get to use them unless they're renting them, just like AYSO rents space. Like if AYSO is going to put soccer on in the new Emerald facilities, they're going to have to rent the space from Emerald, where if it was a public park, they could just
schedule it
schedule it with the city, and they can reserve the field for their usage. And so like I could see some of the complaint in that, but at the same time it's not open to the public anyway, so what's the difference to the neighborhood? If it's bringing people in for events and stuff like that, it's going to be good for the the Pizza Palace and the other stuff that's along Magnolia there, for people to stop and grab food on their way into a baseball tournament or on their way out. It does bring up the gentrification conversation, because obviously people with money are going to be doing more Emerald Youth stuff than people without. How does that work? I don't know the answer to that one. I don't want to go back into the gentrification argument, because I don't understand what gentrification is, other than displacing people that can't afford to live in their own house anymore. Like, I get that part of it, but at the same time, like, how do you improve a neighborhood without how do you improve the quality of a neighborhood without improving the values of the homes that are in the neighborhood?
Yeah.
Like, those two things seem to be linked to me. So I don't understand how you expect to, we want it to be a safer neighborhood, and we want it to be nicer, and we want to have amenities, but we don't want the property value to go up. We don't want the taxes to go up. We don't want people to come in and start buying stuff because it's a nicer place to live. We want all those things for us, but we don't want anybody else to be able to take advantage of that.
I'd say there's a certain point where just kind of fixing up sidewalks, putting in street lights, etc., isn't going to skyrocket property values.
No, I mean there's a ton of stuff the city is doing in that stretch. So they've got these 2 major projects. This science museum's I think it's a $50 million target budget they plan on for the construction and build out of this new facility. I don't remember how much the Emerald Youth thing is. The Emerald Youth one is Muse will be renting the Jacobs building for $1 a year from the city of Knoxville. The Midway property is going to be sold to Emerald Youth for $1 million. It's like 13 acres near downtown Knoxville. $1 million is cheap. Yeah. It is in the less desirable portion of near downtown Knoxville, but it's still a big chunk of land, very close to town, probably worth well over $1 million. But it's worth what people will pay for it. And apparently there was a request for proposals from the city, but Emerald Youth was the only one that entered one. So I don't know exactly how that's going to pan out long term, and then in with that, the city is supposed to be building some infill housing in some of the like rollover area. There's some weird thing, like the city cannot sell public land for residential use.
I wonder why.
I don't know. Scott and Jesse were talking about it earlier, and I was like it was just said flat. The city cannot sell city property for residential use, which is interesting because for me in Happy Hollow, the old Sears building is supposed to be getting sold here sooner than later by Knox County. I don't know if the county has the same rule, but it's by charter. Whatever it is, the city it's in the city charter that they can't sell land for residential use.
They can for commercial, I guess.
Huh?
They can for commercial.
Right. I don't get it. Like, especially in the current state of things, when the price of housing is so high, it seems like that'd be a good use of it. But anyway,
I can't think of a good reason.
And then there's a whole stretch of Magnolia there that has a business development program going on it that's got some tax incentives and some other things in play for people who wish to invest and build a new shopping center or build a new apartment complex or something that's right there, like within, like it's the from like north and south of the block, north and south of Magnolia for like 4 miles of it. There's this new zone. And so if it's on Magnolia proper or on the first block within it, so the 2 parallel streets that run on either side of Magnolia, that gap has all sorts of tax incentives and stuff in play. They're trying to get the fair out anyway. That's been going on prior to this, or this is part of that process. Although they are contractually obligated to the fair for at least a couple more years.
You want to try to move it somewhere else?
Yeah. They don't want it there. The fair wants to move out in the county anyway. They want to get out of downtown. Apparently that's something they've been working on, but there's no venue that's big enough.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. I think they could do it at the mall up here.
I don't think it's quite big enough.
Oh, I mean, they'd have to do it a little differently than they do some of the other fair things that they do at the mall, but I think that section of that J.C. Penney corner is probably about the same footprint as the main part of the fair. I don't know. I've never been to the concert part of the fair. But as far as like the like livestock show parts of the fair, yeah, they can't do that at the mall.
Right.
But who goes to that part anyway?
A lot of people.
I know. I'm just kidding. I just think it's funny. But so yeah, I got an email from Chris Davis. Moving on in topics. As of early votes cast thus far by city council district, totals include obviously by as of August 14th, yesterday. Total votes cast so far in early voting is 2,002. Traditionally speaking, the last week, which is this coming week, does to the lion's share. It does about double of the first, like the last 4 days do about double, traditionally do about double what the first 6 did. Because it's 10 days total or 14 days total. Whatever it is. The last 4 or 5 days do about, so it looks like we'll be at about 4,200 votes come the end of early voting. And then also traditionally, early voting is usually about half of the total votes cast in any election in Knox County. So City of Knoxville, you might get to 10,000 total votes. 200,000 residents. 10,000 people make choices.
There's one local news stations had a story on it a couple days ago. I think they said it was around like 86,000 registered voters.
That sounds about right. Yeah. I mean, you got to figure roughly half of the 180,000 or so. I don't know what the current population estimate is for the city of Knoxville. I think last census was like 182 or something like that. It's certainly up from there. But usually I think traditionally you consider about 50% of the population to be under 18. Or like 40% of the population to be under 18. And so you take a little less than half of 180, that's 80-something thousand.
I think that was just registered voters, not necessarily people of voting age.
We got to be of age to register.
Right. I mean, that's people that have actually registered. There's a lot of people that are of voting age that just aren't registered to vote, period.
Right, that's what I'm saying, though, is that if you take the 180 total and take about 80 of it off for underage, you have 100,000 total voting eligible residents. Like I believe Chris Davis had mentioned this in the past, but I believe I believe the city of Knoxville is like 87%, 90% of voting eligible residents are registered.
Okay.
They don't vote regularly, obviously, but they are registered.
There's a lot of forms. I know at least when I went and got my new license, there was like a check the box if you want to like register or re-register kind of.
Right. When I got mine updated, they were like, "Do you need to make any adjustments or update to it?" It's like, my address ain't changed, so what possible update?
Because I swear, like I did they gave me like a separate form that I filled out there at the county clerk's office.
I mean, they asked me, and I said nothing changed, and they said don't worry about it. So they didn't need to give me that form because my address hasn't changed.
Right.
There was that guy that apparently J.D. Vance is a fan of that was talking about how we should vote by household.
Oh, don't know that story.
Yeah, some preacher or something who's of this particular subsect of Christianity, who argumentatively at least believes that women shouldn't vote anymore, kids shouldn't vote, or adult children shouldn't vote. You should vote by household.
I thought that story was about Hexeth.
Maybe it was. I'm sorry. I might have conflated the two. But I don't know. It's interesting. It's too, like, realistically in this day and age, if you did it by household, because that was the nice way of saying just men, that's really what he's trying to say, but he didn't want to say it flat out that, we want to do away with the 19th Amendment.
Right.
He didn't want to say that part, like, directly out loud. Like if we did it by household, it could be very interesting because how many households in America at this point are one adult households? You know,
Probably more than what used to be.
that's what I'm saying. There'll be a lot of single parent households.
Yeah.
You know, and again, like functionally speaking, how does that work? Like literally, so me and the missus get divorced. Like this last election, we voted one for this household. We get divorced. She gets to start voting for the household, and I'm voting for the other house that I moved into. And so all of a sudden, there's an extra vote. There's one more eligible voter in the county because we got divorced.
Even more reason to not do that.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's weird. Like that's what I'm saying. It could be if you took the guy at the literal thing of what he said, it's actually probably negative for what his agenda is.
Then you still have like multi-generational households as well, which are becoming more prevalent again with
Right.
the rise in
But
housing costs.
But that's poor people, and they don't want them voting anyway.
Okay.
I'm just saying. Like I think that one from their perspective makes sense.
Not necessarily. Sometimes you have your elder parents that move in with you.
Nobody that can afford it has their parents move in with them. They put them in a home. You let a professional deal with your crotchety old parents. I don't know. I'm just talking shit. Like, my parents are going to a home. I know that.
And retirement homes aren't fucking cheap.
I know. But,
Especially depending on the level of care that you need them to have.
My dad did well, and he also moved to Knoxville many moons ago and has a house that should be worth what it is. It's worth what it is. So whenever they decide to sell that house, and they've paid off their house like 5-8 years ago now.
Nice.
And so whenever they decide to sell that house to move into the retirement home, I'm pretty sure that sale of that house is probably going to get them through the end of their days.
Hopefully.
I mean, I don't know. I'm curious how they're going to, I don't know. Like some of it I'm scared of. My dad's dad, so like it was a terrible like 8 years with dementia for his last stretch, like awful. And then his mom just refused to die. Like she just refused to die. She got a car wreck at like 92. Just drove off into a ditch, hit somebody, and then veered off into a ditch. And it's like, this is out in the mountains of West Virginia. Like, so it's a ditch. It's not just like a little divot on the side of the road. It's a hole.
Right.
And they had to drag the car out. This whole big thing. But she was just a stubborn old lady. She wasn't going anywhere. She died 2 years ago now at 97, 98.
I have 2 great-grandmothers that made it over 100.
Which is crazy because she lived in a household with her husband and her youngest son, who lived in that household until he died before she did. No, shortly after she did. But anyway, her husband and her son, who lived with her, smoked. That house was a heavy smoking household for 60 years. And she made it to almost 100. She never smoked. At least not in my lifetime. I never saw her smoke. My grandfather quit smoking when I was a baby. But my uncle smoked up until the day he died. But they smoked in the house. He always smoked in the house, so it's just the way it was.
She got a good bit of secondhand.
Yeah, she got a good bit of secondhand. Like, so we saw some, when we went through the whole state process, you went up there. And, like, do you remember going in there, like, it just the smell? Like, you could smell it on it?
I remember stinking too much of cigarettes.
My thing was like
kind of stagnant, just like older carpet.
Yeah, well, the stuff we brought back that's in the garage, the gun cases and stuff that we brought back from our adventure up there.
Right.
When I put it in the garage a couple of days later, it hit me. Like I went out in the garage, I was like, "Holy shit! It smells like cigarettes out here." And this is like wood. This isn't like bedding or carpets or anything that we pulled. It was like wood and glass cabinets, and it was still it's so impregnated with smoke. That smells like cigarettes. Anyway, she lived in she secondhand smoked heavily for 50, 60 years and made it to her 90s.
Good genes.
There's hope for me, for my stretch of stupidity in my life, so I'll take it. How do we get talking about my grandma? Old folks home. Single household, single vote per household thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it's a good idea. It doesn't make any sense. It's just not practical. Like I could understand, like I could see the theoreticals on it, but it's just not practical. Like theoretically, it's like, it kind of goes back to, it's like a variation on landowner. landowners vote, not people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just kind of a variation on that, but it would have to be like, at least literally out of this guy's mouth, it would be land residents. So if you rent an apartment, that you would count as a resident under the terms. But it would be one person per resident, not one, or no, one vote per resident, not one vote per person. You know, because I mean, logically, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. You're right. It's stupid. It's just something. It was an attempt at something silly to talk about. But yeah, so, and the funniest thing is the two highest districts in the early voting so far, in these primaries, are the two districts that have a pointless primary.
Nice.
There's only two candidates running, so everybody nothing changes with the 625 and 561 votes cast respectively for districts 2 and 4. Nothing changes.
I was about to say maybe it was districts that you had the most kind of like door knockers, but you would think those campaigns probably didn't put too much effort into it.
I don't know that you're campaigning that hard right now.
Right.
There is some stuff there is some news on Matt DeBartlebaden in the District 4 race about some bankruptcy issue in his past or something like that that's about to come. There's some stories about to come out about that. Apparently the chair of the Knox County GOP had submitted some sort of something. I don't remember what the paperwork was. Filed some paperwork about, or submitted some. Maybe it was a letter to the editor or something like that, a News Sentinel or something about it. But it was like, or filed to get some stuff out of some documents out of filings. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it's like starting to kind of congeal into what the story was. Apparently, or maybe I'm conflating some stories, but it's something about like, a bankruptcy like 6-8 years ago or something like that. It's like, shit, I got a bankruptcy. Mm-hmm. Mine was like 12 years ago, but I fucked up, took a stupid loan. Got too excited.
Happens. Now, I saw they released, I guess, the 4 names of people that are running for sheriff.
I didn't hear that. What do you got? Is Jimmy on it? Jimmy JJ? Is he coming back?
JJ's on it.
Of course he is.
Lyons is on it, which I think I remember that name of like Chief Lyons. So I think he was already with the department, or still is, maybe.
I mean, you got to have like that's
really recognize a couple other names.
That is the only elected official in Knox County that has any other requirements other than age.
You have to still be.
You have to be like, I don't know if you have to be existing, but you have to have a certain amount of law enforcement experience to be eligible for that one. But
I didn't recognize the other 2 names.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't like. We got this city race in front of us. I don't know if I want to start talking about 26 elections yet, but there is a lot. I mean, this 26 cycle is going to be a big one. We've already talked about the governor's race at length.
Did you see Governor Lee came out and made a statement? He said he's not going to endorse any candidate.
Well, then Marcia is definitely going to hold on to her ability to select her replacement.
Possibly.
I mean, why would she give that privilege to him if he's not going to endorse her?
True that. She says 2 can play that game.
Yep. I don't know. Like, I'm scared to death. It's going to suck. I just don't know what to do. I mean, there's nothing we can do about it. We're stuck with it. I don't see. I cannot forecast any series of events that will change the voting demographic of the state of Tennessee enough to not have Marcia win.
Let's redistrict. Let's redraw the lines.
Again, I will say, as I have said before, the 16 Democrats in the state house could draw the districts themselves, and we're still going to be. Well, it's a governor's race. Districts are irrelevant. The only way you redraw a district is if you redraw the state lines.
We can do that too.
That's fine. So, but like,
if we're gonna live in a fantasy world, let's do it.
Yeah, we can just carve out like the western portion of North Carolina, and we can get all those hippie leftists from Asheville.
Yeah, North Georgia wouldn't work.
Most of Kentucky wouldn't work. Southwest Virginia wouldn't work. Missouri?
Maybe a little bit.
That's the eastern Missouri? I don't think so.
You would think there's a semi-democratic circle around kind of Memphis.
Yeah, that's fair. Either way, I just don't think it's enough to...
No.
I don't know how you could redraw the maps, regardless of state lines, that's going to get Marcia not winning. I think you could redraw maps in the state of Tennessee to get 5 or 6 more Democrats in the state house. I think the congressional districts for the federal house in the state of Tennessee, you would redraw, and we'd probably have 3 instead of 1. I think we would have 3 Democrats of the state of Tennessee, 3 of 9 instead of 8 of 9. If you drew it completely from the Democratic perspective, if you probably middled it somewhere, we'd probably be 2 of 9 Democrats.
Yeah.
Because I think you would, realistically, Memphis and Nashville would be Democrats, and then the rest of the state would be Republicans. I don't think there's a way you could split up. I don't think there's enough Democrats in Knoxville and Knox County to draw it in a way where any of the eastern part of the state would elect a Democrat. Not yet.
I haven't gone in a while, but I remember a handful of years ago there was a dispute when whatever the lake is that feeds Atlanta, it gets a lot of its municipal water from.
Cowee?
No.
Down in Chattanooga?
It had to do with the river, but then they figured out that whenever the line was drawn,
yeah, they did
the
the survey
bed or whatever, was off by a little bit, but.
Yeah, the river was supposed to be part of the border down there, and instead it was drawn 10 feet past the river.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Tennessee said, "Stuck it. That's our river.
That's mine."
Remember that thing about imaginary lines I used to say all the time? It's an imaginary line that got drawn poorly 160 years ago. But we're stuck with the actions of that surveyor, because that was the Colorado one. What state has the most has the most edges? It's Colorado.
I remember you talking about that,
because I think it's the western border of Colorado. When they were out there, old school, doing the survey for the actual western edge of it, they weren't accounting for the curvature that a longitudinal line has, and so they were going due north, and then every little bit they would have to scooch over a little bit and then go due north, and then scooch over a little bit and then go due north.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they kept going due north, it was actually a little bit northwest.
Yeah.
So yeah, the border between Colorado and whatever is a super crooked mess.
I think they would have kept it because then it matches longitudinal lines anyway.
Yeah, but then it wouldn't be square, which it's not anyway. But yeah,
that would be what do you call that shape? Parallelogram.
Quadrihedron? It's not a parallelogram.
No, it's still four-sided.
Right, but a parallelogram
just kind of obtuses out, going up or whatever.
Right, but a parallelogram is where it's both the top and bottom are parallel.
Tennessee
and
was
the sides
with a parallelogram.
Right, almost. Yeah. Tennessee, lazy drawings of Tennessee. If you do only straight lines of Tennessee, you can make it into a parallelogram.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure the eastern border of Tennessee is a little bit steeper than the western border. I think it's more like that than like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, what a rando topic.
Because I know they used to do what do they call tomahawk claims, where you basically took your axe or hatchet and notched in a tree. Was kind of how you marked your territory.
This is where I'm at.
I'm gonna buy this. This is mine now.
Good old days back there when you had to have that tomahawk because the natives might come freaking murder you in your tent.
Yeah, it was just a handy tool.
Yeah. Dumb ways to die. I'm trying to think of what else is going on. It's been an eventful week, but I've been super busy and I'm feeling like I'm missing a bunch of stuff. Anything I sent to you? Football season, school's back. Football season, first full week of school. The dumbest. I don't know if it's dumbest. I don't know. Maybe it's got some good to it, but at least from my perspective, it's pretty dumb. Every Wednesday, the high schools start 20 minutes late. So they skip their enrichment, which is kind of like the high school homeroom now. So, okay. So first of all, I don't know if you heard about this. They do the new block scheduling. Have you seen this?
Mm-mm.
So it's instead of 4 classes for one semester and then 4 classes for another semester, you still do 8 classes. But for West, for example, it has red, blue day. I'm assuming Bearden has crimson and gray or whatever day. And so on a red day, you do these 4 classes. On the blue day, you do the other 4 classes. So still, you have a full year of 8 classes, but you're doing them every other day.
I could see that being semi-beneficial.
I mean, I can see it in the bonus
you don't
of
have like an entire year. If you take like math, your first semester,
right,
and you don't take math again until possibly
the second semester of your next year, right? You could be a full calendar year between the last time you took any math class to the next time you start one.
Right.
Yeah, math being a kind of weird example. I like I sucked at foreign language, so like as a first semester freshman year, you take Spanish 1. Second semester sophomore year, you take Spanish 2. I think I'm going to remember any of my Spanish in a full calendar year to come back into it. But anyway, they do this red blue day shit. So the new format is there's 4 class periods a day, and then there's a lunch period, and then they have what's called enrichment, which is a very short. It's kind of a touchstone class where you don't do anything specific in the class, but it's a little bit of like a mini study period / the teacher kind of has some counseling objectives and stuff like that. They don't really do anything particular, but it's like instead of taking a homeroom as your first period and taking 15 minutes out of your first period to go over that stuff, like, here's some events coming up this week, here's some paperwork, that kind of crap. Instead of taking that out of one period, they made its own little mini period. So every Wednesday they skip that one and slide the day back. Apparently, the point of it is that the beginning portion, they move that to the beginning, and they use that for some teachers' study time. So the teachers can work on. It can either be like work stuff where the teachers are working on grading or whatever, or they're scheduling a seminar for the teachers in that morning, updates from state laws, and they bring some district person in. The district person goes through some of the updates that they have to cover or whatever, that kind of crap. I'm guessing, I don't know this for a fact, I'm guessing. So this goes for regular start times 8:30, late start times 8:50. I'm guessing they say we're going to do a seminar that starts at 8. So all the teachers have to be here in the auditorium or wherever they're doing the seminar at 8 a.m. So they can have a good solid 30, 45-minute seminar, break out of the seminar, get to their classrooms, and start their day.
Yeah.
That seems more logical to me, because most teachers, I think, are there by 7:30 a.m. anyway. And so that one seems more logical to me than the old half-day thing they were doing last year, where they would just let them out early once a month or whatever.
And the teachers got together. Right.
But the teachers got together and then got stuck there later in the day or something like that. I don't know. And again, I'm guessing what the teachers are doing on this, but that's the underwritten portion of the premise is that's time so they could do that teacher stuff. Okay, sorry, we're back. I got this John person who kind of, I guess he lives here, so I got to deal with him all the time. But he heard us talking about school, and he wanted to chime in on his thoughts about stuff going on with school. So, John, buddy, how you been? It's been a hot minute since we have chatted it up.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I heard things about enrichment and a few other things in school, including the older siblings.
Right, they were the high school version of enrichment. So what's the middle school version of enrichment?
So our middle school is okay if I also just like talk generally like about classes, like how the class system works and the timing.
Sure, we can try.
All right. So yeah, first period and a homeroom. For that extent, it's just whatever class you have. And then second period, no matter what, is enrichment, which I believe it's similar to what you were talking about, because I was like half listening to it, but...
I don't know, I'm not sure what your brother does in enrichment. I'm just guessing at it. What do you do?
So what we do inside of our enrichment is normally we enter class, and then this year is a bit different because for either our school specifically or Knox County schools, I don't remember, science, they haven't really they didn't let like the science teachers do as much as they wanted to. So, like, the enrichment teachers and the science teachers apparently are, like, teaming up so some days in enrichment we're going to be taught some science stuff because the teachers are forced inside of science to teach class one way, but enrichment it's kind of just either do organization or stuff like
life skills. All right,
or just general learning, and or it is about or it's just a thing to do makeup work and such.
All right, you're gonna have to talk more about this science thing. I'm very confused. So
All right.
in science class, they're not allowed to teach science. So they're taking over your enrichment class periodically to teach you science.
No, I heard this from my science teacher, and this is just the extent of what I could understand.
Okay.
But basically what it is he mentioned this briefly, so this probably won't...
just what did he say? We don't need all the qualifiers. Just tell me what you understand of what he was talking about.
So, from my understanding, basically what he said was... So the school or the county, either or, because the
school or the county is doing what?
They're making it be where you have to teach like class with this specific curriculum in this one sort of loose way, and so most of the science teachers want to do like other things as well, but they aren't allowed to do that. So
okay, so you say what do you mean by most? Like he told you that most of the science teachers are doing the same thing he's doing?
Yeah, he told me that the science teachers, plural, so I would assume all of them, are teaming up with the enrichment teachers, basically just to help teach science like a bit more, or something like that. I don't.
So is it because they don't have enough time, or they're stuck teaching curriculum that they don't think is necessary?
I think it's more of the latter, but not entirely, as they're stuck teaching a specific curriculum, but they think there should be more, I believe.
That's what I think, just kind of like adding like an extra thing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm going to show you this cool science experiment that we wouldn't normally talk about, how electrolytes,
Yeah. And, so, and then after enrichment, there's all of your other classes, and then lunch, which I swear, lunch does not feel like it's 20 to 30 minutes. It feels like it's 10 minutes.
I'm just saying, like, adults would work at least 30 minutes for lunch.
Yeah, like, I searched it up a little while ago, because I was really complaining about it, but about what Knox County schools specifics are for lunch times, and it says the minimum is 20 minutes and the maximum is 30, according to the one website I've fully read through and the other that I skimmed through.
Good job researching. That was a compliment. Yes,
yeah.
Good job. Thank you.
Yeah. And then after lunch we have our related arts things, so French, gym, whatever, and band or art or whatever it is as well. And then you also were talking about the red and blue days for West.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I personally like that idea, as
I think you'll do well with it. I think when you get to high school, it'll function with the way you like to do stuff.
Yeah.
I think you'll enjoy having longer class times.
Because
You don't get a longer lunch, though. That's not part of it.
Oh.
Why?
But, yeah.
I mean, West has the dumbest lunchroom ever because of their expansions
yeah.
over the years, but that's a separate thing.
lunchroom.
Anyway, yeah, I think just your learning technique and style as well as personality will probably blend well to the format of high school learning quite well.
All right, well, yeah. So, one sec, I'm adjusting my microphone. But yeah, I do really like the idea as you were like adding on to, because I mean it's just like elementary school except for not, because like it's the 4 classes that you do in like elementary school, except it's different ones per day. And you were telling me that in your high school, or was it
Right,
college?
when Sam and I were in high school, they did a block schedule, but it was you did 4 classes every day, but only for one semester, and then you did a different 4 classes the next semester.
Yeah, I also like that idea, as it is because it's just the same as the other one, but it lets you keep the same schedule, so you don't have to balance 2 different
that's fair,
schedules.
But I think looking back at it, it's kind of crazy, because that's what we were talking about. It's like, I took Spanish in first semester my freshman year, and then I took the next level of Spanish second semester my sophomore year. So there's a full year between those 2 semesters. And you guys, I think like there's data to show it. Like they say, like kids lose like 40% over the summer.
Oh yeah.
And so it takes like how many weeks to catch up? Like the first month of school is kind of like getting reacquainted and getting refreshed on all the stuff you learned last year before you can really get going learning new stuff.
Yeah.
Imagine having a year and how much you have to recoup on that conversation before you could do it again, before you could get started on the new stuff.
Yeah, fair point.
Now, some of it, like, in certain parts, like some of the maths that you get into high school, that's not that big a deal, because they're completely, I think geometry is a completely different animal in math.
Ooh, wait. Speaking of geometry, I might be able to do it next year while I'm still in middle school.
Do it.
Like Geometry 1.
Yeah. I remember liking I liked geometry, but I hated the class, because geometry it was all proofs. You had to do the proofs thing. It's like a whole page of...
Oh, yeah. It's like show your work and the emphasis on that.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Like you just had to do like a whole page of stuff. And it's like, well, I got the answer's right. What's it matter?
Yeah. If you have the answers right, why will you take off points just because my math to get it was wrong?
Well, because I think, for geometry specifically, the math to get it is what's important, because there's a whole bunch of different parts and pieces, because the math to get it is what the actual study is. Like, it's a 45-degree angle, okay, but all the math to get there is what you would need, especially like in engineering stuff like that. It's all that, like... If to adjust the parameters of the finished product or whatever that you're engineering, all those steps have to get changed to get you to the new finished product. And that's, I think, the point of proofs.
Yeah.
Is that you have to understand all those steps to get there, so that if you want to change the end, you have to reverse engineer all the steps to get back to the beginning, and how to adjust all the steps to get to that correct end.
I think writing out also kind of reinforces it as well.
Sure. But like geometry, and then you get into calculus, and like there's a bunch of, like, some of the big math concepts are functionally different enough that it doesn't really, like, they're not building directly off the prior once you get to some of the high school level.
Dad?
Maths, yes.
What were we talking about before geometry? It was, because I wanted to add on to that, but...
we were talking about Red Blue Days and the weird version of our block scheduling when Sam and I were in school versus the new block scheduling now is what we were talking about.
Lunchrooms.
I forgot.
It happens, buddy. It happens all the time.
Sucks getting old.
For real.
Yeah. Yeah.
So other than the science teachers going off script and taking over enrichment time to do stuff in enrichment, anything new or different about this school year that you've noticed already, or is it pretty much just reacclimation period?
So, I mean, I remember what I was going to talk about.
All right, we'll put my question in the back pocket. Go ahead.
Sorry, it was about going back to school and how you had to relearn it, and about over summertime you need to do 40% of it. All of my classes, all of them, they've started already, and for me at least, the teachers go on different paces for their like learning and stuff. Like, for example, my science teacher, who I love, I think he's a really good teacher. He started like day 2 of like the first or second day of this week, like actual learning. Well, most started later, except for my math, where they started Monday.
Okay.
And for some of them, as mainly math and what's it called?
ELA.
No.
Social studies.
Yeah. Mainly math and, well, actually, no. Mainly math and French, actually, now that I think about it. Out of all 7 of my classes, have been really big on doing that relearning thing. Because French, I just about completely forgot the language, except for, like, the je m'appelle and bonjour and all, and, like, some of the ABCs.
Right.
I just about completely forgot French. But then for what was the other one I said? Math, right?
Yep.
Yeah, sorry. I forget things a lot.
Right, that's what we're talking about, is how much you forgot over the summer.
I mean, like, yeah. But yeah, for math, we just started Unit 0, which is basically the same thing as Unit -1, or just still learning, relearning some things. But I think I've learned a bit in that. But for science, we've already gotten a lot into like a deep dive of atoms and how they work, and we also learned a decent sum of the periodic table with that. Which, speaking of the periodic table, from them I have homework to do the first 10 to like recite the first 10 thing.
Hydrogen, helium, lithium, carbon. No, carbon's 8. Right? Carbon's 8?
Yeah. It's
carbon's 8.
Yeah. Either recite or draw. I forgot. I'm just kind of
right. So the first two levels, because hydrogen, helium are level 1, and then there's only 6 on level 2. That's helium or lithium. Yeah. Oxygen is on that one. It's nitrogen, oxygen. I got a couple of them.
Remember,
not
like
in order.
Gases
but,
were like vertically on the left side.
Right. Xeon and all those.
It's different.
Which I think that's oxygen. Oxygen is number 8.
Yeah, it's different ones for verticals. And then some take up bigger amounts. And then at the bottom there are the rows, not the vertical.
All right. So what's your goal for this school year? What do you want to end the school year with?
I don't know. I mean, because unlike many people in my age, I really do know what I want to do as an adult. So I think it's just I want to get better at the 3 things that I do want to be as an adult. Although one of them isn't. I'm not taking in school. I could, though, but I really do like band, and it'd like replace band.
Right. It is a bummer with the art stuff. You get 1, and two of your 3 are.
Because I have band. I also would love choir because I would love to be inside of a play or musical. And then I'd also love art because I want to be an artist when I grow up. But also I'd like being some sort of math or science person, as I also do like those a lot. So
have they done all the clubs yet? Have they started talking about all the clubs that are available yet?
I mean, I don't. That's a good question. I think some have started, although I don't know. Because last year in 6th grade, because it was like our first school year, there was that meetup thing,
right?
Which also introduced us for the last year's play, and so I'm hoping that that flyer also like goes home.
You got to take this. You got to take control, buddy. You got to find ways to get the information you need. You need to go. You need to go. You need to go find a time to go talk to the art teacher. Be like, hey, is there any art clubs, after school art clubs, where we can do stuff? Because I can't do art and band. And then go to the choir teacher. Be like, hey, I want to do the musical this year. I don't want to miss out on any information. And you can give them my email, and they can email me junk. You know, I read all my emails. I'm a crazy person.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I will probably ask about that, as well as I'll ask my homeroom teacher.
Yep.
About if we're going to have that same type of after school day where we can just go to school and.
Right. All the clubs will have a table in the cafeteria, and you can go and talk to the teacher or some of the other students that have been doing that club in the past, so you can get to know what's going on and where to go and when club meets are and stuff like that. Because, I mean, like fully selfishly, I'd love to just not have to pick you up at regular pickup time. I'd love to leave there for an extra hour and come later when there's not nearly as many people trying to pick up.
I mean, yeah.
Even if it's only one day a week, it'd be amazing.
I mean, because
it's not that I don't want you around the house. It's I just don't the process of going to pick you up is a pain in the butt.
Is so annoying.
The worst.
Yeah.
Ryan Dillingham, you're the smart traffic and bus guy. You need to start working on this. You need to start working on parking lots for all the schools.
All right. Sidetrack. Can I explain, if he does happen to listen, why it's bad?
No. Because that was a joke. That's not in his wheelhouse. He is just about making sure they have as many bus drivers as they can, and that the routes make sense, and that if they need to call days for the safety of the bus drivers, that's what he does. All
right. There's a D&D and what's it called?
Magic or card game club.
Card game club that happened last year, and my entire caveat of I'm gonna join whenever I finish my Pokemon card deck so I can play. I need 3 Pokemon cards
that are $100 each.
No, they're cheap. The most expensive one's $20, which comparatively is cheap to Pokemon cards.
Right, but if you join the club, one of the guys that's already in the club might have that card. You can maybe trade for it.
Well, yeah, I was asking one of my friends who did play the club, who was in the club last year, what they do and stuff, and they were just no one plays the card games. Everyone just plays D&D, which still would be fun, but it's kind of a bummer, because then I'd either have to play against the teacher, which would not be bad, as he is amazing.
And he might teach you how to play the game a little better, because we don't really know how to play the game part of it.
I mean, that's not...
No, that's not true. I'm sorry. I don't know how to play the game part of it.
Yeah, I know how to
I don't know how to play Magic anymore. It's a different game than when I played.
I know how to play the Pokemon trading card game, except for I don't know how Poison and Fire works.
Well, I'm sure in the club, some of the guys in the club could probably help you learn that.
Yeah.
So yeah, just do one every day of the week. It'd be great. I could just pick you up at 4:30 instead of 3:30.
At the most, I'd want to do 3.
Okay. We see, you got to go. You're getting to the age, and the same thing I've been talking to your brother about. He's a little further along than you because he's older than you, but you've got to go assert yourself and get the things that you want. It's your elementary school. They give you this stuff. They walk you through it. They hold your hand and they make you do it.
Yeah.
It's as you're getting older, it's you have to say I want to do that, and then you have to figure out what you have to do to be able to do that.
Yeah. Is it okay if we talk about the students of schools?
No, I don't want to. That's fine.
All right.
People suck. We know that.
Oh yeah.
It's just the individuals. Individuals can be individuals are individuals, but in mass, people generally suck.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, that's just how it is. So, anything else you got about school related things?
No, I don't think so. I still want to talk about the Roblox incident because it would be perfect for a podcast, and I guarantee you at least
for a podcast or this podcast.
I mean, it's about pedos, so I mean, I don't want to say it unless I'm actually going to deep dive into it.
Yeah, we're not deep diving into Roblox. There's enough pedo stuff out there to argue about that I don't need Roblox added to the pile.
Oh yeah.
Are there so what are you telling me? There's a bunch of old dudes on there trying to groom kids? Is that what's going on in Roblox?
Yeah.
No, I don't want to know the answer. Never mind. I'm sorry I asked. I don't want to know
Can
the
I
answer.
give you at least one little part and the reason why everyone's mad at Roblox, though?
Yeah, go ahead.
So there's this guy, I forgot his name, but he is the reason why. He reports them to Roblox, and he also reports them to the police because Roblox doesn't do anything about it. And then Roblox banned all of his accounts for, quote, violating the rules of Roblox, which they doubled down on recently, which is just so BS because...
What are the rules? What rules did he break?
It's because they're supposed to, any report, it's supposed to just be for the Roblox people to handle and not anyone else.
So the fact that he's going outside?
Yeah,
is he doxing people?
No, not to my knowledge at least. What he does is if there's a pedophile, what he does, to my knowledge, I'd never watched him, so I don't know, he gets some sort of information from something that he could dox people with, I believe, but he gives it to the police instead and says, hey, this guy is, doing blah, blah, blah in Roblox, which makes him a pedophile, and so, yeah, and so far he's arrested 6 people in total, before Roblox banned them, and so the entire internet is mad at Roblox.
I mean, it is a bad look for Roblox. I'll agree with that. Like you're banning the yeah, okay.
And freaking catching like pedophile TV show thing with that.
Yeah, which they got sued and shut down, I believe.
You know the like main guy who does that though?
Vaguely.
Yeah, he teamed up with the guy who got like banned from Roblox to like stop that thing and help get rid of them. Or I don't entirely know. I know there are many news articles about it, and there's been a petition to get the current owner of Roblox, David Pizzuki, to like get fired or banned, or like I don't know, hell, maybe even like what's it called? Go to jail, because I mean that clearly means that he's supporting them, and I'd say that
I don't think that's not a fair statement from the way you explained it. I was thinking about this, like Sam will make fun of me, I'm sure, because I throw bad analogies together on the fly. So, City of Knoxville, all City of Knoxville parks close at dusk, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I went up to the park right now and it's in the dark because I heard rumor of some pedophile up there chasing kids around and trying to lure kids to come meet him in the dugout for lurid activities or whatever, if I'm up in the park with a baseball bat hunting predators and the cops show up, I'm still in the park after sunset, which they're going to ask me to leave. So if the cops come and ask me to leave, does that mean that they support pedophiles because I'm there hunting pedophiles?
I mean,
I'm breaking the rules of the park, and so they ask me to leave.
No, but I mean, like
would we recall the mayor? Would we get the mayor fired because her police department is basically chasing off vigilantes?
Well, that's the thing. That ban was purely David Pizzuki's idea, to my knowledge. So, like,
but again, if the way you said the policy is set, and it's their policy, it's their internal rules. He pushed forward the ban because the guy was breaking policy.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to make excuses for the pedophiles here. I'm not supporting the pedophiles either. But at least from the way you're describing the story, maybe there's parts and pieces that we don't know that makes it make more sense. But it seems like a little bit of a leap to go from this guy banned a guy for breaking policy, even though the guy was quote unquote doing something good for the world.
Oh wait,
and I agree with that.
I think I remember what the policy was. It wasn't that every report will be dealt with from Roblox, because that was their double down statement, which made the internet even more mad at them.
Okay, so what was the original?
It was because what's it called?
Man, we were going to not talk about this, and he just forced it in there, didn't he?
I mean,
Go ahead. What was the original?
it was because like Roblox, they don't allow like personal things to happen.
Well, then they're failing at their policy by letting pedophiles get some access to kids.
Yeah, like
Well,
personal in real life things to happen or something like that. Which, speaking of which, Roblox is planning to put out dating for over 18 people inside of Roblox, which
would therefore be a violation of the exact policy that the mouse set for.
Yeah, but also like I mean, the entire internet says this at least, but but everyone says that it's basically confirmed that David Pizzuki supports pedophiles. And I remember the first time I heard of this, the reason that I heard was from the person who was explaining this. Their idea was that he just wanted more money from the sure. Pedophiles.
Right, he's doing business. Check.
But, like, still, that's a morally wrong thing to get rid of someone for breaking a rule, to get rid of people who were not just doing something illegal, but also breaking the rule. So, I don't know. That's my opinion on it.
Right. It is quite an interesting culmination of events. Like I see the conversation. I'm not trying to doubt it. I'm playing what's called devil's advocate here, where I'm trying to at least make the argument on behalf of the quote unquote bad guy owner on part of it. I mean, I don't know. There's not a lot of sympathies for pedophiles out there. I'm one of those people, but. All right, man. Last call for you. Anything else you got?
No, I wouldn't say so. Well, yeah. Bye.
Later, Tater.
Bye.
All right, so that fascinating update of what's going on in digital Roblox world is brought to you by John, my youngest. That the science teacher thing I find quite fascinating.
So I think it's more they're probably just like adding in something that, like you were saying, is not in the curriculum that they have to go through. It's just
it sounds to me like it was worded that they're being hamstrung by the material that they have to teach that they don't want to teach, and so they were going to sneak the stuff they want to back in through the enrichment program part of the day. That's what it felt like. We'll wait and see. We'll follow up with John in a couple of weeks and see what science he's learning in enrichment.
Maybe it's just some extra stuff to like keep them interested. It's like, I know we've been going over the elements.
This is the cool stuff. We're having to do all the boring stuff from there.
Like, let me get you something to make you kind of rethink that science is cool.
All right. So, so while we had John on the show, we've still got the news on the background of this Putin meeting or whatever. The Russian equivalent to Air Force One is pretty sad in comparison.
No, did they show it?
Yeah, not quite as impressive as a plane as Air Force One. Probably more than adequate for the job, and probably more than comfortable for the people on it. But it did look like an old Soviet-style passenger jet.
I think ours is technically old. It's just that I think that's just been a similar format of that 747 or whatever it is.
Yeah, they haven't changed that plane other than components in a long time.
Right.
Like it's a newer plane off the assembly line, but it's the same. It looks exactly the same as it did.
Right.
Probably from the 80s, early 90s.
I think if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, we're getting a new one from the Saudis, and that's cool.
Yeah.
There was I don't know what he was talking. I can't remember what they were talking about, but Trump did go through the exhaustion of explaining that when I say they gave me, or I want this in exchange for that. When I say I mean us as a nation, not me as the individual. Like he made a big point to. I don't remember what he was talking about, but he made a point to like do one of his Trump tangents on clarifying what he meant by me or I.
Do the weave,
right? Not being me personally.
But didn't he say that? I guess after his term, whenever that happens, if he doesn't decide to run again because he hasn't quite dispelled theories that he may.
Right.
He was going to go to like his presidential library.
The plane one, yes,
really
but they were talking about. He was talking about something else in this quote, but he was just made a big tangent of, which I mean, that's what like. To be fair,
I think Boeing's still making like the two that have been on order for a few years or whatever. Like they haven't stopped building those two Air Force ones. Because this new one that he's got, it's still going to take years to like retrofit and do everything it needs to be up to spec.
Yeah, but Air Force One
could cost up to $1 billion. I think that's some of the estimates.
Of course. Why not? We need another $1 billion airplane for that.
Yeah.
And, I mean, with the amount of traveling he does, it makes some sense that it needs to be like with all the stuff that's on that thing outside of a standard passenger jet. All the anti-aircraft stuff, like anti-aircraft missile systems and missile defense systems, and all those things that are on that thing, and all the radar and stuff that's in there. Like, there's a whole section of the cabin of it that's like, it's like like most military sites don't have as complex and quality of radar and information management systems. There's like 7 people that work on the plane as like radar operators and communications officers and stuff like that. That all they do is track every other thing that's in the sky within like a 45-minute Mach 1 flight of them. Mm-hmm. They know everything and see everything and all that kind of crap. I mean, that's got to be a lot of dollars and cents right there.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's a valid thing. I do think the premise of Air Force One is a valid thing for the president to have at his disposal.
So we have 2 of them.
Yeah. I mean, was it GW was up in Air Force One for like 10 hours on 9/11 or something like that?
Yeah, it's probably
like that's like as soon as they got him out of that Florida elementary school that he was reading at.
Right.
They didn't fly anywhere; they just flew.
Right.
They were just flying circles around with like F-18 or F-22 escorts the whole time, but they were just flying around because it's like we don't know what's going on. We don't know where a safe place for you to be is. This is as safe as it gets, so we're just going to fly in circles. Right. Which totally makes sense.
Essentially a flying bunker.
Yeah. But it's also got all the stuff he needs to get in contact with the people he needs to get in contact with, and
exactly. Yeah.
He can still do the job in totality.
Flying command center.
Yeah. I mean, hell, they've got there's press that's on board anyway, but they've got the means to do a press conference from inside Air Force One. I think he landed before he did his first official press conference, though. But anyway, so I'm trying to think of what else is going on. Other than me apparently accidentally defending pedophiles on Roblox just a second ago. I don't know, the Catch a Predator guy.
Chris something.
Yeah. Like, they got sued to oblivion because they chased some guy down and it ended up being wrong. And all the stuff that came out of it and all the threats that he'd gotten and lost his job and all this kind of stuff, the guy ended up killing himself. And his family sued the shit out of the show.
Damn.
And, rightfully so. I mean, that's defamation by definition.
Right.
Well, I guess not, because they through their knowledge they thought they were right. So it's not defamation, because you have to, for defamation to be true, you have to knowingly be lying.
Right.
But it's still libel. I can't remember the definitional difference.
See, Melania's suing Hunter Biden.
I did.
$1 billion.
I did see. Well, I saw something I saw it was a clickbait headline that's Hunter Biden shuts down Melania's lawsuit with 2 words. Click here.
Yeah.
And I was like, what brilliant thing is going to come out of Hunter's mouth that's going to shut down whatever's going on here?
Right.
I don't know what's the basis.
Another defamation. I believe what I read was he was on some TV show or a podcast, I think, and was saying that they met through Epstein.
Oh, Trump and Melania did?
Yeah. The Trump and Melania met through Epstein.
I mean, I would be curious. I would love to see the filings of that lawsuit and to see what Melania claims as damages.
It's like causing her distress and slander, basically.
Yeah, but you got to show real damages, and that ain't.
I mean, you can sue for emotional damage.
Yeah, but that's a steep hill to climb.
It is.
Like that, because I mean that's the basis of Macron's wife's thing against Candace Owens.
Right.
And it's like, it's hard to say, but it's still, it's hard to, like, it's hard to prove that, you know, you're a public figure. That's part of why the public figure standard is so much higher, is because you're a public figure. It would be really hard for you to prove that this specific thing, when the public is being rude to you or press coverage of you goes bad and all that kind of stuff, you get enough press coverage and stuff all the time that's good and bad, that your ability to prove that this is the one that caused you the biggest stress versus this other story about how you bought a Gucci bag or you have a fur coat and killed a minx or whatever it is, that is constant in the, like, if you're that level of fame, that you constantly get stories about, like from some whatever, like whether it's a PETA type group that's just, I don't care, you have a leather belt on, you're an evil person. It's hard to prove that one didn't cause you distress, but this one did.
Yeah.
You know, and especially, like, I don't know, like, did Hunter provide any proof to it, or he just said it?
He's going off of, it's the same guy that I think I can't remember his name, but a lot of, like, the Epstein stories have come from this guy that's been reporting on, like, the Epstein story for years.
I mean,
I think he wrote a book on it, Michael something maybe.
The question, I mean, is it plausible? Like, you know, like, is the timeline plausible? Like, you know, like, if it's speculative, it's not libel. Like, it makes sense that if A plus B equals C.
Right.
Now, I can't prove C, but A and B did happen.
I think their story is they met through some kind of, like, French modeling agency or like modeling group or something like that. That guy, the head of some kind of model agency, was the one that introduced him. So I guess it's going against their narrative.
I don't know. I think it's crazy. I think the Macron lawsuit's crazy. One, because it's a foreign entity in a U.S. court. That seems kind of weird to me. It's like it's a Delaware court that they filed in.
Right. No, it's because the plaintiff is, or the defendant
is a U.S. citizen.
Right.
I don't know. Does U.S. law have any guarantee over foreign damages? If that's your argument, is that it was?
No, but it's regulated by American, like the FCC and whatnot.
I don't know. It's not. Podcasts and stuff aren't. We're not regulated by anybody.
No.
I mean, again, from my understanding of libel and or defamation, I always get them mixed up or whatever. Like you have to prove damages, and you have to prove that they knew it was a lie when they said it,
right?
And that they continued, and that they profited off of it. That's the other one too,
right?
And so the Candace Owens ones does have some ground in that it was profitable because that was her first big thing in her solo thing after she left Turning Point USA or whatever. Not Turning Point.
Daily Wire.
Daily Wire. Like when she got fired or whatever the situation was when she left Daily Wire because she said something that was perceived as anti-Semitic or whatever. And Ben Shapiro, who is the boss there, being the super Jew that he is, was not having one of his underlings say anything negative about Israel. And so he fired her. That was her first major project. Like she'd started her podcast and had done some and had started to develop her new audience there. But that big series that she did on Miss Macron's a Man, like you could watch the numbers of her downloads and subscribership and stuff like that. And so there is plausibility to the proof that she did have gains.
Yeah, it was like a 5-part series, I think I saw.
Yeah, but she did have huge gains in her quote unquote value. The value of her company went up significantly from said lie that she knew she was lying about when she did it, and that it has provable damages. But it still seems weird, like the provable damages part. It's like
even think you have to sue, like where that person or entity is based out of.
Yeah, but I don't like. Why would I just don't understand why a U.S. court would take a foreign lawsuit? Like, could all right, it's just again made up.
You have other countries that sue, like Apple, and I think that goes on within U.S. jurisdiction. I'm
not okay. Let me back up a second. I understand that it happens. I just think it's weird. Why would a U.S. court hear anything from a foreign actor? Like if it's a foreign actor that has a U.S. business ties of some sort, and that U.S. business is the one that is the the plaintiff in the lawsuit, like a Disney or something. Like I don't know, Disney's not a good example. Like a BBC suing a U.S. company, but it's the BBC U.S. affiliate that runs out of is actually an incorporation in the United States, or even like an importer, like Jose Cuervo was suing some like. I mean, it's not a great example because there are international copyright law that does exist. There's like partnership agreements on that, but some little distillery in New Mexico started doing a very obvious knockoff of the Jose Cuervo, like in labeling and branding and all that stuff, and started trying to sell it as Jose. I don't like. Can Jose Cuervo out of Mexico come in and sue for copyright violation, or would it have to be the registered importer of Jose Cuervo into the United States? Like, it just seems weird to me that a foreign company or a foreign individual has any right inside the U.S. court system to be a plaintiff on that. It just seems odd.
Why should they not?
I mean, because
still a damaged party per se.
Well, but who does the United States government is to work on behalf of the United States citizens? Now, I guess in the Jose Cuervo's sake, you could make the argument that this person is damaging their brand that the U.S. citizens enjoy.
Wait, where's the government come into that?
What?
In your Cuervo scenario, why are you bringing the government into it? What does the government have to do with that lawsuit?
I'm sorry, not the government. The U.S. courts, the U.S. court system, which is a body of the government, is what I was trying to say. I apologize. I did word that poorly. But like, why a U.S. like? I mean, it just seems odd to me that a U.S. court would hear from a foreign plaintiff. The U.S. court's duty is to the American citizens. And
I still think you have to go to where that entity is. So if if Cuervo in Mexico wanted to sue this, person in America, if they rule against them,
right.
that wouldn't really stand to that company. Be like, that's cool.
Well, I'm saying,
what are you going to do?
Fair enough, but I'm just saying, like, inversely, I go to Mexico? Could I sue Jose Cuervo from the United States? Could I go in? Would a Mexican court hear my lawsuit if I went to Mexico? I
would presume so.
I just don't feel like that makes sense.
It makes sense to me.
I don't know. That's a good that would be the start of the question: is does it work the other way? And I just don't feel like I
assume so. I think you just have to go to that place, either where that person or entity is at.
I don't know.
Go through their judicial
right.
system.
I get it on a news standard standpoint, but I don't know that I've ever heard of an occasion where like Apple is suing the Chinese government.
I think they have tried.
But I mean, Apple actually has business entities that operate inside China. Like Apple has some version of a business license inside China. Apple,
right?
There is that exists.
Well, I think they have some company there actually make the iPhones.
Right, that's Foxconn.
Is it?
Yeah, that's the one that has the nets around the windows because people keep trying to jump out.
Uh-huh.
I was thinking about I mentioned it a couple weeks ago and I just blanked. I could not get that name out. I couldn't remember it, and I heard it the other day. I was like, "Damn it, that's what I was trying to say the other day, like 3 weeks ago."
They're supposed to be building some big Foxconn. I think in Wisconsin or Minnesota, they're supposed to be building some big ass factory that they never really did anything with, and I think the state started suing them for basically not starting.
Right.
It's like, hey, we gave you money 10 years ago to start building this factory, and you haven't done shit.
Yeah.
Promised,
they're supposed to be doing some stuff in Montana now too. Like all the glass, some of the glass on some of the phones are coming from some Montana glass factory. It's the best glass in the world. That's what he gave.
It was plastic.
He gave Trump a piece of that glass on a gold brick. That was part of that thing.
Oh, was that the Apple thing you gave him?
It was a gold brick and a piece of glass that was cut out in the shape of an Apple screen.
I think that in that same one, he threw some shade at Tim Apple. And said something about him needing to work out, or what was it? Talked about him being skinny, but basically made fun of his physical appearance.
Yeah,
and
Trump.
Kind of okay, because
you're
going to give you this award.
You're a model of proper physique for an adult. Got Hurricane Aaron, first hurricane of the season.
I saw that Puerto Rico and another country were under advisement. Apparently, Chattanooga had really bad flooding.
Oh yeah,
I think I saw 7 or 8 people died.
Yeah. It was a weird way. It was a weird rain week. Needed the rain, but not like that.
Yeah,
you can't do an inch in an hour and expect any of it to actually soak into the ground. It just puddles up and runs off.
I saw we were under a watch the other day, but I didn't think it rained that much.
We got it. I mean, we got it out here. It was just like, I mean, it was like 15 minutes of just like the heavy, big raindrops, fast pace, and then it quit.
Yeah.
And then the sun came back out, and it was miserable.
Sticky.
It did that again yesterday. It did a couple times this week, but I'll take the rain. I'll take it. We need it. I'm taking anything that cools off this for a little bit. But it's been muggy for it. Tried to walk the dog earlier, like 100 yards, and like just swamp ass, just uncomfortable. My fat thighs running together.
I saw some funny story. There was a guy that lost a bet and had to run a marathon in like jean shorts.
Ooh,
I think they made like the chafing joke or something.
That's miserable.
Yeah.
I mean, running a marathon sounds miserable to me anyway, but
in jean shorts, some jorts.
I mean, running it, period. But then add the worst combination of clothing you could put on. Oof. Oof. Hey, we got our window replaced, finally. We no longer have a big bullet hole in our big piece of glass.
Nice.
We still have bullet holes in other places in the front of the building, but that one big gross one is gone. Which I don't even know if the DJ's office has come out and collected any further evidence or anything like that. I have no idea what's going on with that case right now. Maybe I shouldn't talk about it. I don't know what the rules are on this. They didn't talk me through anything.
Oh, did they tell you to not say anything?
No.
Yeah.
I've done my due diligence on preserving the evidence of our video files so that when our cloud server clears the system, I have hard copies of them. If they want them, like 12 hours. It took forever.
I think most courts are like scheduled to have like at least a few weeks to a month, like regularly.
Yeah, but we've heard no updates on any of it. Because, I mean, at this point, there's nothing to schedule. I mean, it's just whenever the DA's office feels like scheduling the grand jury on this one.
Yeah.
But it's like, what else what do we need to collect on this? What do we need to be putting together on this? Is this just going to fall to the side? As of right now, at least dude's still in jail, I believe, because of his parole violation.
Right.
So, you know, whatever. As long as he stays in jail, I'm fine. But if he's getting out, we need to get done. We need to get down to business here.
Yeah, I don't know how long you get. I think generally, if you violate parole, I think you go back and like basically have to spend what would have been your original full term or something.
Yeah, which I don't know how much longer that's supposed to be. Oh yeah, this one, the National Guard into DC thing.
Oh yeah.
There was a very interesting guy that's a former employee of the city of DC talked about it. He doesn't work there now, but talked about different stuff that goes on in DC proper. He was the head of he's been in DC government. He was in DC government for like 25 years. You know, just like from the parks department all the way up to like he was appointed to head this new we have one here, the gun violence intervention program that we do here in Knoxville. Mm-hmm. He was, when they rolled that program out in DC, he was the head of that, and you know, spent all day every day going into the different neighborhoods and talking to all the different people and doing all the stuff. And like it was very interesting because he's like, you know, he's like, the idea of this I don't hate. And this is actually something that other municipalities have asked for in the past, including DC, has asked for federal assistance to come in and help them get some stuff taken care of. But he's like, the big thing to me is like, this is seems to be just show of force. It's just it's just uniforms on the street, which isn't the worst thing ever. But they're not doing anything about the process, talking about how long it takes to go through the court system and getting guys arrested and getting their cases heard and then getting them put in jail.
That's the other thing that I've seen, that essentially like these National Guard troops don't have any police power, so they can't arrest anybody. I guess they could temporarily detain them until police.
Yeah, but they've got a bunch of federal troops too. That like they got a federal, like there's FBI and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like I think I saw that.
And somebody got some guys going to jail for a long time for assaulting a federal officer with a Subway sandwich.
Yeah, apparently they worked for the State Department.
The guy that threw the sandwich,
or the Justice Department, because I think I saw that Pam Bondi had fired him.
I mean, I don't know what led up to it, but I mean, are we like, would you go to jail for a long time if you threw a Subway? If I wanted, how would that process go if I press charges for you hitting me with a Subway sandwich?
It's still assault on a police officer, a federal officer.
Okay, I acknowledge that, but
right.
But if you would hit me, a regular citizen, with a Subway sandwich,
right?
What's happening to you?
Still probably simple assault.
And what? You get probation?
Yeah, I don't know.
You think this guy's getting probation? No.
No.
I guess the moral of what I'm trying to get here is I resent the premise that they're like, and we've talked about this in Tennessee law because they've changed some Tennessee laws recently, updating the penalty for this, that, and the other on an officer. I resent the premise that an officer is a victim any different than I'm a victim or you're a victim or my neighbor's a victim. The crime is the crime. It shouldn't matter who you did it to. That's equality under the law. I mean,
what about like an elder person? Do you think there should be enhancements for abuse on essentially a vulnerable population?
Those are different crimes. Which I don't know. That's a good question. I'd have to think about that a little more. But no, not really. I don't think so. I think it'd be like, I think punching a 5-year-old in the face, punching a 20-year-old in the face, and punching a 75-year-old in the face should be it's the same thing.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think it's the same thing. I think if anything, the damages being different might be an arguable point in sentencing or something like that. You know, like you punch a 75-year-old man in the face, he's never going to heal right, and he's going to live the last 20 years of his life with a deformed face because of what you did. We're going to tack some more onto that. You abused a kid, and it's going to cost millions of dollars in therapy and shit over the rest of his life to do better. I could see that being an enhancement in sentencing because of the damages that are part of it. Where, you know, a 25-year-old is at the bar and got punched in the face because he was running his fucking mouth. He's going to be fine tomorrow. It's still a simple assault, but you know, and it's still that base crime, but maybe it's less harsh in sentencing because it's less damaging to that to the victim in the case. Yeah. That seems reasonable to me. But, you know, like, if I get hit with a Subway sandwich, if this guy on the TV gets hit with a Subway sandwich, if the President of the United States gets hit with a Subway sandwich, there's no, like, what are we talking about? Like, is it, like, it's not, like, unless you have, like, a extreme, like, ham allergy, you know, especially, like, and again, like, they're going on my damages thing, like, you're an officer, you should be in pretty decent shape. Like, the worst thing that's going to come out of this is you're going to have to dry clean your fucking flak jacket. Like really, like that's like it seems ridiculous to me.
I get your opinion.
You don't want to agree with it. You don't want to go on record. You're not.
No, we've already had this discussion many times. I don't agree with that position. I think it should be enhanced penalties for attack on law enforcement. I don't think we have it for like doctors or like. And I think first responders.
First responders do have enhanced penalties,
and paramedics. I think are.
Then I think okay. Then I will compromise with the inverse being that if you are on a special list of victims, then you have a special list if you commit a crime. Inversely,
they do.
So if an officer punches me in the face standing on the street for no reason, he's going to go to jail for more time than somebody else would if they punch me in the face.
I think there are enhancements for it. Essentially, it's like abuse of like abusing your authority, basically.
Okay, those enhancements actually get enforced then, because I don't know that I've seen a lot of that. And maybe that's bias coverage. Maybe they don't cover the bad cops as much.
I think I've seen it more with like sexual assault, where essentially it's using your position. I think there are enhancements for that. It's like coercion, basically. It's like abuse of authority figure.
So if that officer was off duty when he got hit with the Subway sandwich, is that the same thing?
I don't think so. Unless they announce themselves as, and then you threw it.
Which I still don't. I mean, I don't like that. I mean, we've argued about that to death, and I don't like that at all. Like, you announce yourself as. How hard is it to announce yourself as, whether you are or not? You know, so you go run your fucking mouth to some chick, or to some dude. Well, yeah, you go hit on some girl, and she's telling you to back off, and her boyfriend comes over and tells you to back off, and you keep pressing it. And then right before he punches you in the face, I'm a cop.
I still think they would have to be like on duty, kind of acting as that position.
That's a valid question. I don't know. I'm spurting off on it. I think it's ridiculous on a million levels that there's like, yes, it's criminal. Yes, it should be criminal. Yes, you should have a penalty for hitting somebody with a Subway sandwich. But I don't know. I'll try to keep up with it, and I'll try to see what this guy gets charged with, and see how much time in jail you might spend for hitting.
Assuming it's not going to be anything severe. I mean, he's already lost his job. So I'm sure he's probably going to struggle
Maybe
to
he's
find another job.
Maybe he's looking for a place to live, and that's why he did it in the first place.
I don't think the department's going to give him a glowing review. Or
I guess it's a federal crime. He'll go to a federal prison. Those are usually nicer, right?
yeah, it depends on who you turn on.
Yeah. Well, maybe he's got some. Maybe he knows Ghislaine.
Yeah. I saw some people like quoting on, I guess, like some of the pictures and video of this new force in D.C. We're in like Georgetown, which is apparently like
the least crime riddled version of it.
Right.
Well, it's like they were talking about that on Breaking Points because they run out of D.C. and Sagar and them have lived up there for a long time, and Sagar's like they're in the National Mall.
Yeah.
Nothing happens in the mall. Like some of the protest stuff gets a little crazy sometimes, but like if you're just walking around the mall doing the touristy stuff, you ain't worried about those people.
Right. I think the new thing is, I think a couple days ago, they announced that the head of, he's like a former head or head of DEA or something, essentially taking over like the police department, which I think the city is already, I think today, filed a lawsuit.
Yeah, that's what popped up on here that reminded me of that story. Right.
Which it's already kind of where I think there is like presidential power that they can essentially bring troops in for like 30 days without congressional approval.
I don't know. Again, like the guy that was on the Breaking Points that was talking about it, it's like if they're out there doing the work, getting these guys that are shooting people all the time because their crime rate is their violent crime rate's pretty big and stuff like that. Like if they're out there doing the work, getting these guys off the street, getting them into the system, getting them processed, getting them tried, getting them convicted, getting them in jail, I'm all for. He's like, I'm all for it. Right. But right now, it's they're driving around in their fucking armored cars, hanging out in Georgetown and on the National Mall, and it looks great on TV for people that are into this shit, but it's not changed anything on the ground.
Right.
So it's a, it's a, I don't know, it's a shit show. I don't know what to do anymore. This is getting ridiculous.
So I think it was like yesterday or the day before, I think Trump announced like 5 more cities that he was thinking about maybe doing this to. Which what I've heard, like legally is much harder to do. Like the District of Columbia gives them a little more
right. Being federal-ish land in the first place, it's
right.
A little right.
But as far as sending them in, I think Baltimore, New York, Chicago, I think L.A. and Oakland, I think were maybe like the 4 or 5.
I mean, again, I get if it's having a I don't know, without trampling on civil rights, which it will. But if they're having a positive effect on the community, then I'm all for it. But I just don't see that part happening.
Right. It seems to be, and I think they mentioned it on Breaking Point, it seems to be a lot more reactionary of the former Doge employee that just got assaulted.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, well, where were you like 5 years ago when the murder rate was, 5 times what it is now?
Right. And you were president then.
Right.
Yeah, I don't
know. Like our numbers are down, which I think they even talked about it on there, that there was a recent story that one of the former heads was being indicted or was accused of kind of cooking the books and making the numbers look better. Yeah,
that was they talked about that on there. The Bureau of Labor Statistics one, that's another fun story. Have you followed that one at all?
Is that the guy they fired?
I was on there. They were calling. I do a phone call next week. They call me once a month.
Really?
We got randomly selected by some ID number that I didn't even know existed.
Nice. And
so they're like, "You want to do it?" And I was like, "Yes." What do I need to do? And it's like once a month I'll call you, and I'm going to ask for I'm going to ask the same set of questions for the payroll that ends the week that I call you, or the last check that went out from the week before I call you.
Right.
And it's generally how many employees you have, how many are female, which is a fun question, since like 4, I think we have like 7 biological females, but I have that run through my head every time. It's like, and I maybe I'll ask next time she calls me. I'll be like, I've been thinking about this because like 3 of the females that work for me don't identify as female. They don't identify as male either. How do you want me to answer that question?
I can say, well, what box did they check on their application or whatever?
Oh, we don't ask that question. I don't care.
I don't know.
saying, like a couple of them do carry our insurance, so I know what box they checked on the insurance, but that's HIPAA, so I'm not at liberty to share that. But it's total hours worked in that pay period, total payroll in that pay period. So they basically work out what our average per hour that we pay is. That's about it. It's only 6 questions, pretty straightforward, pretty quick.
Yeah, I think I saw there were some employees that weren't happy with the guy they brought in. Apparently has no experience.
Well,
with,
it's one of those
or whatever.
But it's one of those jobs that it's it doesn't this is a big elaborate program. It's a big complicated program. From what I gather of it, with my experience being a subject of said program, they have a whole staff of people. So the program starts with, we try to get X% of the businesses in the United States manually surveyed once a month. These are the sets of survey questions. So that part, this new guy might be able to have some influence on what are the questions. They made, it was very, it seems to me that the series of questions, the part of the statistics they're working on is that they want to know specifically is female participation in the workforce. That seems very particular. That seems like a very specific, that question being included in there seems like part of the point. They want to know how many people we employ and how many of them are female. What the average wage is, how many hours worked, how many supervisors of the employees. That's another question they always ask. How many of them are in a supervisory role, which is a really awkward question for us because we have a very loose structure. Right. And how much total payroll is and stuff like that. And so it seems like when they generated the survey set, so, okay, again, backing up, the program is we want to survey X percentage of companies, and then this is the set of information we want to get out of them. But it's I would say at this point they've been running some of them very similar, other than the survey questions changing a little bit, and maybe some of the algorithms that they use to project out the percentage that they talk to into the total workforce. You know what I'm saying? How do you say, okay, we took 10% of the population, do we just multiply by 10 and say that's everywhere?
Right.
How do we adjust that function to be a little bit more realistic, because it's never gonna be just multiply by 10 or multiply by 100 depending on how many people they talk to, whatever the math is.
Right.
It's never gonna be that simple. So maybe this person could have some power to direct some of those parts, maybe have some power to change some of the questionnaires on it. But it's it's just a big data entry company. That's all they do is they go collect data and put it into the system, and then whatever computer program or whatever it is that they load the answers into churns out the monthly data report they put out at the beginning of the month. And so short of just completely trying to overhaul it, which does sound like what this guy's trying to do because he's talking about going to a quarterly one, but completely trying to overhaul that whole system and start over, there's not a lot you're going to be able to change other than maybe some of the specific questions, and with, you're not going to be able to change a lot of the data just to make it look good. If that's the inference. Well, they fired that guy because the data didn't look good and Trump says he's lying about it. It's you can't really lie about it. All the data is getting entered in the machine kicks out the data. So unless you're saying that he has cooked the algorithm in the machine to kick out data that's inaccurate to the input data, and that is not a director job. The director doesn't get to, they're not going to be changing an algorithm. They'd have to go find the engineer that would be able to do that for them.
No, but you sign off on the report, so you could kind of skew statistics to an extent.
I don't know, man. It seems a little, because
I'm with you on that it's hard to cook the numbers hardcore or anything like that.
This is a big fucking cruise ship of a bureaucratic entity that runs out of DC. It is a big, slow-moving ship. It will take a lot of energy and a lot of effort to get that thing to change directions. I just don't see that. It just doesn't make any sense any other way. And it's too, and the other part too is the people that matter, if you want to get into the other side of it, the people that matter, that want to know what these numbers are, the people that actually act on these numbers, yes, the general population who does vote, they see those numbers, and the talking heads on the TV talk about these numbers and what they mean for, your bottom line as a household, or your ability to get a new job in the future, or kids that are in college's abilities to get a job when they get out of college, crap like that. Yes, the people talk about the data, but the people that really pay attention to that data are the Wall Street guys. Is now the right time for me to put a bunch of money in some new companies? The jobs report's not looking good. That doesn't seem like a good, that probably is not a great time to be investing, because we're not having, our workforce participation's down. So, and so those guys are going to get the numbers they want. They're going to get accurate numbers, whether the Bureau of Labor Statistics puts it out or somebody else does. They'll figure out an algorithm to correct the algorithm from whatever this guy puts out. They'll be like, okay, when the job reports comes out from this new director, we're gonna subtract 10% from whatever he says, and that's gonna be that's the more accurate number, and then we're gonna make our business decisions likewise.
Possibly,
because again, like, there's no way that this doesn't come, like, again, like, for Trump and all his genius in manipulating the narrative. There's no, like, there's, like, you could, he's fudging, he's acting against me. It's a conspiracy to make me look bad. That's why he's putting the numbers out that he's putting out. It's like, or those are the real numbers and you don't like it, and so you want to get rid of them, so your numbers look better, so you look better. There's no other way, like, there's only two possible narratives. It's either that guy's the bad guy or you're the bad guy. And so for Trump, it's like, people believe you. They're going to believe you. The people that don't believe you are going to believe that you fired this guy because you want somebody to come in and bring you fake numbers and make you look good. Nobody's going to believe the numbers this new guy puts out if they don't believe you in the first place. So it doesn't change the narrative. The people that don't believe anything Trump says narrative-wise anyway aren't going to believe the narrative he puts on play. The people that believe everything he says, you could keep having the guy put the bad numbers out, and Trump says those are bad numbers, don't pay attention to them. Those people are going to believe that.
Right.
The narrative doesn't change. Except for the handful of people who actually understand what this is and how this works and stuff like that. And again, the JP Morgans of the world, who are the people that have the short list of people that Trump's actually afraid to piss off, those are probably some of them. And when these numbers start coming out and they're real wonky looking, and these guys are like, we can't make decisions off of this crap, they're going to be upset. And so to me, this just going to come out as a net negative for Trump. But he does seem to figure out ways to weasel through all these what seems to be like obvious negatives.
I don't know. I mean, to me, I guess, especially with like a government entity, I don't think someone should be the head of if they have like little to no experience and relevant to that position.
I get what you're saying, and I agree with you to some extent. But the problem with it, for the sake of conversation, full devil's argument, straw man, whatever you want to call it. At what point, if you truly believe that there are systematic issues with some of these big bureaucracies, who is going to have experience in how to handle one of these big bureaucracies that isn't tainted by what it is in the first place, if it's truly corrupted? So just for the sake of conversation, I'm not saying it is or it isn't, I'm just saying for the sake of just pure speculative conversation, if this entity is truly corrupted, and its intent is to not do what it's set out to do, it's been corrupted into this version of itself that's doing some nefarious act because of prior bad actors or whatever it is that created this foul version of its own entity. If that's truly what's at play, who can you find that's experienced enough to run a department like that isn't corrupted by the history of that department? Who's an outside force that would understand the complexities of it? Because nothing exists in data management and reporting at the scale of the Bureau of Labor Statistics of the United States. No company in the world has a data management set that is that big and that complex.
I think that's exactly why you would need someone that has some kind of knowledge of that.
But my point is, nobody does that isn't inside of it, and if inside of it is dirty, then whoever you put from inside of it to the top of it is going to be part of the dirt.
Not necessarily.
That's a tough, and
that's presuming that like every single person in it is somehow corrupted, where, I think more of the time when it fleshes out, it's a handful that kind of throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Yeah, but that's a tough one. Like, how do you find that person in that haystack? And
someone with knowledge of it that are able to kind of like root it out and figure out, what part of that algorithm?
Okay,
is
well,
getting skewed.
so the short, simple one would be if there's a person that has knowledge of the dirt and stuff that's going on that's still in the agency, why didn't they come out and tell somebody? Why didn't they whistleblow on this years ago if they already knew about it? Just as a hiring manager in the conversation, like you knew this was going on, you had to have known this is going on if you understand how it works.
I get what you're trying to say, and I think in a lot of entities, you have a level of trust, basically, and you're not triple checking the numbers that are given across your desk unless they, raise flags. It's kind of like, hold on, we had a 15% jump. We haven't seen that in 15 years or whatever. Right.
No, I get it. I would say that's again, and this was the full straw man of I'm not trying to say that I believe that the Bureau of Labor Statistics has been corrupted in such a way, but if it had been, how do you fix it? And I could at least understand the premise of if it is a fully corrupted, broken machine, there's a line somewhere in that where disposing of the machine and replacing it with a new one is the only way you're going to get there. I can understand the premise of it. I'm not saying it is or isn't, but I could get that logic. And again, I would think that in Trump's mind, he believes it. He believes that this entity, because everybody's out to get him. Everybody's out to make him look bad unless they 100% say that he's right about everything he says.
Yeah.
And so in his mind, this guy's putting out bad numbers to hurt me, not because the bad numbers are real. He's putting them out to hurt me. And again, I don't agree with him. I don't think it's true. I don't know. It seems impossible. I couldn't, the amount of information and data to come out with anything that's usable on the other side at the scale of the entirety of the United States employment and economy seems insane in and of itself. That any numbers that come out of that are going to be truthful and honest. Especially, you're doing it once a month. We've settled down, but there's been months that we've fluctuated 25-30% in just in number of employees.
Right.
And therefore in payroll, and therefore with number of females as a percentage of it. Our percentages jumped up to 50 or 60%, and then fallen back down to 10 or 15. And
I think there's other ways to gather those numbers.
I don't know. I don't know if they're cross-checking it with anything else. As far as I could tell, at least for our input on it, it's just what the answers that I give them. I don't have to verify it. I don't have to send
it.
I
think that's just a survey they're giving. I don't think they're necessarily taking that and expanding it out for a jobs report. I think that's just a separate data sheet. Like you said, you think they're focusing more?
What do you think you think they're going to the IRS and pulling out W-2s?
It's possible, yeah.
I think at some level, I think the IRS reports, number of people who are working, but they don't talk about where they're working. Or, I'm sure the IRS kicks out average income of a United States citizen according to their filings,
right,
and stuff like that. But I would doubt that on a monthly basis, the Bureau of Labor Statistics going to the IRS with anything, because the IRS doesn't care. The IRS doesn't care if you worked as far as the IRS is concerned, you made $100,000 this year. It doesn't matter if you made it in a month or it took you all 12 months.
Right.
And so, yes, on average, you made $100,000 over the year. So that's $8,000 a month or whatever. But, hell, you get the seasonal workers down in Gatlinburg. You got all the fucking Austrians or whatever that work up at Ober or Croatians. It's always some Eastern European people.
Yeah.
That are all the temp labor up there, that they go work Ober for the 4 months that Ober is actually a ski resort that functions, and then they go home or they go somewhere else and do some other temp work. Those people, make most of their income in a small portion of the year. Now, if you did the same survey they're doing with me at Ober, there would be months where they have 15 employees, and then there would be 3 or 4 months out of the year where they have 120 employees, and then a couple months later they go back down to 15, 20 employees.
Yeah.
So I think the questionnaire that I am getting is the main data set that they're working with, and they expand that to a hypothetical of what they believe they multiply that to get, to expand out to the, so
an average.
They compile mine and every other business they call once a month into, this many working people, this many of them are female, this is the average wage, blah, blah, blah. And then they multiply that to get it up to the totality of the U.S. economy. I think that's the core of their system. Again, they do all sorts of other stuff too. I don't get me wrong, but I just think that's the core of their data set. At least their labor data. There's other data, like the other data that they do around it, I'm sure is there. But, because I guess you could go to Medicare, Medicaid and see, or the unemployment however the federal unemployment thing works, and see how much do we collect in unemployment benefits this month.
Right.
Because that's a federal agency too. Again, they may compile that into the data set, but I'd still say its core of it is that survey. Oh. All right, you want to get weird? John sitting in's got me all out of order. I feel like this show has been so much shorter, but that 20 minutes with John was rather something. I was going somewhere else with the school thing, and I forgot what I was going, but oh well.
It'll come to you.
Yeah.
See here, we got a library book returned after 82 years. Note says, oh shit, come on, load up. Grandma won't be able to pay for it anymore.
One more time?
A library book returned after 82 years. Note says, Grandma won't be able to pay for it anymore. See,
so is Grandma dead, or?
San Antonio Public Library came with a letter noting that Grandma won't be able to pay for it anymore.
She has passed.
The book is Your Child, His Family, and Friends by marriage and family counselor Francis Bruce Strain. Checked out in 1943 and returned this past June from a person in Oregon. Let's see here. After the recent death of my father, I inherited a few boxes of books he left behind. The person wrote in the letter that was shared by the library on Instagram and signed with the initials PAAG. Let's see here. The book must have been borrowed by my grandmother. The person wrote, in that year she transferred to Mexico City to work at the U.S. Embassy. She must have taken the book with her, and some 82 years later it ended up in my possession.
That's probably a hefty fine. I'm pretty sure there's a write-off period somewhere in there. They give up on it. They've got to.
See, the person who returned the book wrote in the note, I hope there was no late fee for it because Grandma won't be able to pay for it anymore.
I mean, she was a federal employee. Get it out of the federal government, man. They owe some.
See, the library said it eliminated overdue fines in 2021.
Oh, that's interesting.
Let's see here. There was a stamp warning that the fine for overdue books was 3 cents a day. Not accounting for inflation, the penalty would amount to nearly $900.
Damn! Yeah, accounting for inflation would be like $3,500.
Yep, here. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics inflation calculator, that would add up to more than $16,000.
See, there's another thing they do. I didn't know they did that. How many? 18,000?
16.
Whatever. What are we doing? Inflation.
Just off 1943 times.
Well, no, because you got to do it over time, because it would be 3 cents a day. Be 3 cents a day for a year, and then that compounds to 3 cents a day per year. Yeah, that would, I don't know. Depends how complicated that calculator is. That would be an amortization table would be needed for that. All right, one more.
All right. The driver faces up to $110,000 in fines for speeding on a Swiss street, but he can afford it.
Right, we talked about that. There's you said Sweden? Switzerland.
Switzerland.
Because some of the Nordic countries have got that too, where it's
yeah, it mentions that. I think like Germany and France. What does it say?
Your fine is relative to your income.
Yeah, goes off your factors like income, fortune, or general family financial situation. Germany, France, Austria, and the Nordic countries.
I could get on board with just an income one.
Yeah. Apparently, I guess this happened last summer, but he recently got sentenced in June. I think it said that he put up like $10,000 or $12,000, the equivalent of $10,000 or $12,000, and basically got put on diversion and would have to pay the rest of it if he got caught for a similar roadway infraction over the next 3 years.
So what was the total fine?
110.
And he paid 12.
Yeah.
And as long as he didn't do anything for a dozen years, he wouldn't have to pay the other 100 and something. I mean, I think
3 years.
Yeah. I think it's reasonable because it's certainly the way we do it here. It's certainly a regressive fine.
I think it's also people that have done it before. I think it said he got like a similar speeding ticket like 4 or 5 years.
Right, but like $100 to one person, it is no big deal. $100 to another person could be the difference between rent this month.
Right.
You know, and so I think, you know, setting them in a way that's equitable, and I'll say that terrible word, equitable, seems reasonable to me. But it needs to be a real hard number. It can't be some. I would like it, that needs to have a direct formula. Your tax return says you made X. The window of X to Y pays this much. The window from Y to Z pays this much.
I would think they've got something similar to that.
I think adding wealth or, like it just gets a little fuzzy. Like wealth, I can kind of get to, but like, what was the other one? Family means or something like that.
Yeah, basically, I think it's basically like family financial situation.
Because I mean,
your household situation.
I don't know. That's one of those.
Like, well, you know, I'm not the breadwinner. You know, my partner is. So
yeah,
I'm technically poor. I don't make any money.
Right.
So I don't. You don't find me anything.
I mean, fine.
I think except for
there's
poor
still
people,
a minimum, but
you get like a day in jail that would take care of it. I'm assuming community service is probably
yeah. So I don't know. I'm not opposed to the premise of it. I don't know. Like it seems like household income was I think would be a fair version of it. You know, because if you're 16 and your dad's some broker who makes millions of dollars a year, that's fair to put a bigger one on that.
Right.
Because dad's going to be.
It's meant more to be of a diversion.
Right.
Like, I don't give a shit. Like, I'll just sell another Ferrari and pay it off, whatever.
Either way, you know, but it means, right, you know, because like there is a percentage of your income that you could lose that means something.
Right.
Like where's a reasonable line to make it mean something other than just whatever.
Yeah.
Or oh shit, because that's what it's the other way that's just the sucky part. Like the top end of it, whatever, but the lower end of it, it's like, you know, you shouldn't be speeding, whatever. That's fine, I agree with that, but it's like $120 fine or something like that can be a huge fucking deal to certain households.
Right.
You know,
and court costs, possible court costs,
right? You know, and so like it seems a little bit redonkulous to ruin to put some serious financial strain on a family, you know, for a speeding infraction. Now, if there's damages with it, like if it's reckless endangerment because they're doing 120 and they hit somebody, it's a little different story,
right?
But anyway, and you got one more? You want to be done with that?
Nah, that's good. All
right, anything else? Last call?
I think we made national news about some kind of car accident that was, I think you said just outside of Knoxville. They ended up being tied to like a Mexican cartel.
I did hear something about that. It was like Loudoun County on down 75 going towards Chattanooga.
I think that's what it said.
Maybe Ooltewah? No, Ooltewah was way down in Chattanooga area. I mean, that 75, like, you know, like you talk to any cops around Knoxville about like the organized crime element in Knoxville, it's all Detroit. Follow 75 north, you get to Detroit.
Yeah.
It's all coming down like it's like I-10 into Atlanta and then up.
I think that's where one of the I guess the local kind of underlings was based out of was Atlanta. I think that's where they said they ended up doing a big bust at his property.
Well, yeah, I mean, like the pipeline. I guess maybe it might be like Miami. It might be coming in through Miami and going up 75. So Miami to Atlanta to Knoxville.
Any major city. I mean,
Atlanta
is now the busiest airport in the U.S.
Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
You have cargo stuff sent in.
Super confusing, by the way. Did I tell you that part of the picking up Mac story? I didn't even do it on purpose though. I just put the Atlanta Hartsfield Airport into my GPS,
right?
And it took me to the international terminal. And like as I was getting closer, it's like, you know, because like it's huge,
yeah,
and it's like multiple exits. Like you can get off at different interstates and still get onto it back and all this kind of crap, whatever. And so like some of the signage starts popping up, and it's like international concourse or international terminal and domestic terminal. And like my GPS just kept pushing me towards the international terminal, and well, he's flying in from Scotland, so it's probably the international terminal, so that's cool. And so I get onto the airport proper, and I call him, I'm like, where y'all at? He's like, oh, we're at the baggage claim at whatever, 11A, and I pull into it, and it's like, none of that. Like, there's nothing even close to that. I'm like, I'm here. There's a handful of people out here. I don't see you guys. He's right here by the Delta thing, and I'm looking, and it's like, yeah, I'm right here by the Delta thing.
Air France.
And I was like, there's a Delta thing over there too, and I was like, I was like, international. He's like, no, we're in the domestic. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, we flew into, I can't remember where they hit first and transferred, but so their flight I guess, which is still weird because like I guess they went through customs in New York or wherever.
Right. Yeah, you did wherever you land.
Not necessarily. I mean, if you change planes, I guess they changed planes because their baggage, but their baggage was in Knoxville already. That's the crazy part. Like their baggage was literally at the Knoxville airport because it didn't do the same connecting.
That's weird.
So like when they went through customs and put their baggage on, it went on a different plane that flew somewhere else and then flew to Knoxville, and they went to Atlanta, and then that Atlanta to Knoxville flight got canceled. Okay. Or maybe it got on the earlier Atlanta to Knoxville flight, and they didn't because their connector was late.
Right.
But then how did it get to Atlanta in the first place? I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, that's the news of the weird people, how airports work. You're welcome. Almost Agreement, we did a show. We talked way more about Trump and international and national politics than I ever like to. But we did, because we do, and that's what happens. So, Almost Agreement at gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, with the website, Almost Agreement. Check it out. There's the plane. Huh? Anyway, Almost Agreement at gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, with the website, almostagreement.com. Go to all your favorite podcast providers. We are available there. Like, friend, share, follow, text us your friends. Do what you can do to support the show. Look out, everybody. City elections are early voting's coming to an end, and only about 6 of you did it. So any of you listeners out there, go ahead and go vote in the city of Knoxville. You're going to double the outcome. So anyway, Almost Agreement, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye. I have a question for you.